CBS presents this program in color.
Hold it. I think you're going to like this picture.
Ready? Go.
Here's Mike Murphy. He's the man of the fans, nothing more. Here's Mike Murphy. It's the show with the most on the score. Well, he's never been in a press box.
Thank God.
I talked with the jocks through the locker room door. Yes, here's Mike
Fans talking to fans.
Just fans talking to fans on the score.
Here on the score.
And that's Murphy's Law.
Wow, 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 wow.
Murphy's Law.
Wow, 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 wow.
Murphy's Law.
How you doing, everybody? Murph with you from now till 2 o'clock. Oh, man. If it's Tuesday, I say, what if it's Tuesday? There's the what if bell. Means we're busy right out of the box. We're 15 minutes away if it's Tuesday from What's Your Beef? Start getting your sports beefs. Get them in mind. Get them ready. We'll open up the phone lines momentarily. Best beefs from you. Win the best beefs in town over at Brown's. Lunchtime, it tastes better. John DeWan 1 minute away from post time for Stat of the Week. Still got a little Kentucky Derby in me right now. And let's see, 1 o'clock hour, we got Cubs talk leading up to their first pitch, White Sox talk, and we will have plenty of Blackhawks talk, talking about tonight's big game number 3. It's even, it's a best of 5, and the Hawks have home ice advantage. But it's time for the guy with the numbers.
Numbers are like your brother-in-law. They lie if they need to.
Numbers don't lie. Well, maybe they do.
John DeWan's Stat of the Week.
Yeah, those numbers are a little screwed, too, because skewed, rather, not screwed.
Numbers, unlike children, don't lie.
Not a stat guy. Save that for John DeWan.
John DeWan, Murph has made famous over the years.
Oh, man, it's the other way around. Are you kidding me? It's Murph, driven to you by Chevy Drives Chicago.com. Celebrity line ringing. Let's punch it up. Let's go to statoftheweek.com. It's John DeWan over at Baseball Info Solutions. Hello, John.
Murph, I got some numbers. They're not going to lie. They're not skewed or screwed. And they're not like children.
And numbers are like my brother-in-law. No, my brother-in-law, ham sandwich Gary, he never lies. Hey, fans, I had a John DeWan, 18 years now with Murph, one of the original stat number guys with the Bill. Hey, I understand, John DeWan, that our favorite man, your protege from so many years ago, I mentioned to my lovely wife Dana, I said, honey, if you see the Playboy magazine around the house, it's for the article. Did you hear that? Evidently, the new May Playboy, I read this in Richard Roper and the Sun-Times, a big special about Bill James.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No.
Wow. No, he's really made it then.
Honey, I bought it for the article, remember?
Playboy magazine.
Yeah.
Well, now I got an excuse to buy it.
There you go. Let's get inside some. John, I know you've got your numbers there, but before we say goodbye in 10 minutes, by the way, what's your beef? Coming up in a few minutes, my friends at Brown's. John, before we say goodbye, I'm going to give you a few numbers regarding my information, stat polling today, if that's my idea of a good time.
I love it, Murph.
On a new wrinkle, I believe, to look at the designated hitter. It's called the ninth hole in the American League batting order. But we'll get to that in a minute, I believe. John, what do you have for us today?
Well, first I want to give you the final update on the Bulls plus-minus for the season.
All right.
So, some interesting things here. And I'm not going to give you the full season because I don't think the Bulls were who they were before the big trade.
Mm-hmm.
So the big trade is when the Bulls became who they were, when they picked up Salmons and Miller and so here are the leaders.
Around February 19th or so, I believe.
Yep.
Okay.
And here are the leaders. The number 1 and number 2 guys are right around each other. Kirk Heinrich and Brad Miller.
Okay.
Heinrich at plus 111.
Okay.
111 more points scored when he was on the court than the opposition scored. Miller was 110, so they're right next to each other.
Beautiful.
Now, the number 3 guy is a bit of a surprise, but I think I've mentioned him before, Tim Thomas.
See there?
It was plus 91. So he was real close to the other 2 guys.
You know, John, I remember, I believe Game 5 it might have been, Stacey King on Comcast around the third quarter, goes, I don't understand, if I'm paraphrasing correctly, Stacy. If not, I apologize if you're listening, Stacy King. But he said, I don't understand why we're not seeing more of Tim Thomas out here tonight.
Well, he sure did the job for the Bulls during the regular season, and but he didn't get that much playing time in the playoffs.
Right.
So the other key players on the Bulls, Ben Gordon plus 30.
Okay.
Derrick Rose plus 16.
Right.
John Salmons plus 8.
That's all for Salmons, plus 8.
Yeah, just plus 8.
All right.
But two guys that struggled since the trade, although they bring other things to the court. Luol Deng was minus 38. Tyrus Thomas minus 79.
Yeah.
So, so we got some. Noah was plus 15. So most of the Bulls were plus, but Tyrus Thomas and Luol Deng didn't quite cut it. So now we go to the playoffs. Let's see where they were in the playoffs.
All right.
And I've been talking about this one all throughout the playoffs. And once again, Brad Miller plus 53.
Yeah.
He is actually the only regular on the Bulls who was plus during the playoffs because they had that big blowout game.
You know, he would have been plus 54. Yeah, if Rondo hadn't hit him across the head with a 2x4, and he could have made those 2 free throws.
That's true. But so he was plus 53. So the next best Bulls were actually minus. Kirk Heinrich minus 13 was second. Ben Gordon minus 16 was third.
Right.
And actually, this is pretty close to the same order as it was during since the regular season since the big trade. Derrick Rose minus 31.
All right.
And John Salmons, I thought he was great, but his plus minus came out not so good at minus 54. Tyrus minus 58 and Noah at minus 74. So Noah, they scored a lot when he was on the court.
Oh, yeah.
Despite the fact that he's a tremendous defensive player.
He's going to be fine. He's going to be my guy.
I think some of these numbers are skewed.
I never. Hey, get that on tape right there, Jay Zawoski. That would be a first.
I promise that they wouldn't all be skewed, but some are skewed because, certain guys you got to have in there. You need a no in there to play defense. You need a big guy in there. So at times, the numbers don't tell it all, but I think they do tell a lot. And Brad Miller's plus 110 during the season and plus 53 during the playoffs. Maybe the most valuable there during the season.
Let's send those. I was going to send those numbers over to John Paxson, but now he's got Gar Foreman helping him out as the GM. All right, John DeWan with Murph, and we're about 5 minutes away now from What's Your Beef? Tell you what, if you want to beat the crowd, dial in right now, 644-6767. Beef lines are open. All right, John, what do you got for us on the baseball beat?
Well, on the baseball beat, Carlos Zambrano got injured bunting for a base hit the other day, and Phil Rogers today in the Tribune says, hey, it's time for pitchers to join the no-hit list, and he wants to see the DH come to the National League.
Well, you know what? This is not John DeWan speaking. It's Murph. Evidently, it was a slow day for Phil Rogers to try to fill a column, but I'll say that.
Maybe, but what's interesting is the scoring in the National League hasn't really been that far behind the American League over the last 3 years.
Even with that lousy number 9 pitcher batting, and everyone goes to the bathroom because it's just ridiculous.
It's less than 1/10 of a run per game. So last year, the American League scored 4.72 runs, and the National League was 4.66. So it's really close.
It's nothing.
It's pretty much nothing, and it's been that way the last 3 years. I think part of it is that there's a couple more big boppers, the Albert Pujols and David Wrights, and there might be a couple more big boppers in the National League right now, with the ebb and flow of how things go. But it's not that big a deal, and let's just compare the number 9 slot hitting this year.
Now, and this we have to explain, John DeWan, because, the average fan, who's busy right now at work, or the boss is yelling at him, or he's on the Eden's Expressway and the 18-wheeler's, cutting him off. He goes, well, wait a minute. Obviously, the DH, Jim Thome, whoever, the DH is going to hit better than, Ryan Dempster in the 9-hole. But, John, you say let's not compare the DH, but rather now without a pitcher, here's the key, everybody, if you're listening. Without a pitcher batting in the 9-hole in the American League, you have a position player. Their goal was to get the pitcher out. So what you are going to do is compare the 9th slot of the American League with the 9th slot of the National League,
exactly,
I bet.
Murph. I think that's a better comparison.
Bingo.
It's you can compare the DH against the pitchers hitting, and you'll get a big, extreme difference.
But that's not. But that's not the key to the what the DH accomplished, getting the pitcher out of the 9-hole.
That's right. That's right. So what we have, just compare the number 9 hitters. So over the 2002 to 2009 period. So this is a multi-year sample.
All right.
The number 9 hitter in the American League hits 259.
Okay.
And whereas pitchers overall hit about $140, the number 9 slot actually hits $184 in the National League.
Uh-huh.
So the difference is not as big as you might expect when you compare the DH to pitcher hitting. So it's 259 versus 184, and not that big a difference in the on-base or power numbers either. So
see, this would be interesting, John. How often in the normal National League game does the pitcher actually hit? In other words, we know that the leadoff hitter, Soriano, almost always bats 5 times. And last night, the Giants' leadoff hitter, I guess it was Lewis, probably batted 5 times. That's 10 plate appearances, let's say, right?
Right.
Now, my question is, normally in a National League game, the 9-hole, in other words, the pitcher doesn't actually bring the bat up to the plate usually, 5 times for the Cubs and 5 times for the Giants. I wonder how many times the pitcher, or what percentage, actually goes up there to take an appearance as opposed to a pinch hitter or a double switch.
Well, I think that's a good point because the double switch and the pinch hitter, really come up to bat more than you expect. And, when you're talking about the leadoff guy getting 5 slots, certainly the pitcher's not getting more than 3. And oftentimes in a situation like that, he's probably getting 2 in a game.
Well, yeah, if your team in the National League is losing by more than a few runs, after this, you'll never see the pitcher on that trailing team bat more than 2 times. They're going to pinch hit for him by the 6th inning.
Right.
And if you're winning, you're going to bring relief pitchers in these days. You're going to bring a relief pitcher in. So the starting pitcher rarely bats even more than 3 times, even if his team's winning.
Right. So I think that the discrepancy between the DH and one league and not in the other is not as great as it would seem. And I'm actually a proponent of leaving it like it is.
All right.
One argument could be, it's time for specialization, and that's what Phil Rogers talks about. But, you could go to 40-man rosters, and you can have 9 different guys play defense and 9 different guys play offense.
There you go.
Like football, right?
Yeah. Here's my favorite. I think my tongue is planted firmly in my cheek here now, John, tongue in cheek. Now, the American League should just do this. Institute a designated runner for the designated hitter, and every time the DH Jim Thome gets on base, they get to replace him with a free designated runner.
Hey, there we go. We could have 9 different hitters, and 9 different runners, and 9 different fielders, and rosters of 60, 70 guys, and you'll have a lot of real extreme strength going on in baseball.
He's John. Hey, John, before your final nugget, I wanted to remind everybody thetowngroup.com for the big, sophisticated air conditioning, HVAC, piping, chiller work, major jobs, thetowngroup.com. My guys, they do it right at West Town, North Town, Southwest Town, and Northwest Town, the white trucks, the red stripes, thetowngroup.com. John, I think you had emailed Jay Zawaski. You're going to leave us with a little look at your favorite team, the White Sox leadoff hitters.
Yeah, the White Sox have used 6 different leadoff men thus far this year, which is tied for most in baseball with the Washington Nationals. They also have 6. Last year, I think there was a team that had 10, and the Mariners only used 2.
Wow,
so
6.
6 different.
Let me guess. Boy, you've had Getz.
Yep.
Owens in the beginning, right?
Yep. Owens has not done it yet.
Okay, but you got 6 leadoff men, huh?
Yep.
All right.
Owens did play 1 game. I'm sorry. He is one of the 6. Sorry.
Just one time, Ozzie saw enough.
That's right. Yes, the 3 guys had 1, Anderson, Nixon, Owens, Wise twice, Lillibridge 7, and Getz 13. Now, I want to say, if you look at the White Sox lineup, with Getz at leadoff and Fields batting second, I really think Ozzie has the right combination there. So I really like seeing Getz and Fields
all right,
first and second, and then you'll go Quentin, Thome, Konerko, Dye, AJ. I think they got the right lineup. I really think so. And Getz is a good on-base guy, 345 projected on-base percentage.
Wow.
He's done the job so far this year. If he can stay healthy, I think we're in good shape. But I actually like Lou Piniello's lineups. Yesterday against the lefty, he put in he platooned Fukudome and Fontenot with Reed Johnson and Miles, and I really like that. I think both those guys have shown they can hit lefties better than the two lefty hitters, and so I think both managers are doing a good job with the lineups.
He's our guy, John DeWan. If you want to visit John, just go to statoftheweek.com or baseballinfosolutions.com. All the great publications, the different stat services for you, the leaders in the field, statoftheweek.com. John, I got to go buy a Playboy. Would you call up, email Dana and tell her it's because Bill James, I'm buying it for the Bill James article.
If you do that for my wife, Sue, then we're even, Murph, and we can both tell them it's for business purposes.
I love it. John, I'll leave you with this. Check out the last night's American League games, all right? There were full boat, 7 games, 14 teams. I want you to look at the 14 number 9 hitters in the American League yesterday.
Okay.
All right? And see what their batting averages are, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Would you believe it if I told you 6 out of 14, 215, 215 or less?
Oh, really?
What if I told you 10 of the 14, 241 or less? You wouldn't be very surprised, but the point is, half of the American League teams, the ninth hitter is hardly better than the pitcher. And listen to this, John DeWan. 2 clubs, the Indians and the Blue Jays, batted their DH number 9, and one's hitting 236, one's hitting 219. So, everybody, the pitcher's no more exciting than the number 9 hitter now in the American League. John, I got to run. It's What's Your Beef time. Let's visit next Tuesday as always.
Sounds good, Murph. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, John.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Oh, you know what time it is. Time for What's Your Beef? Murph till 2. Cubs talk, Sox talk, Blackhawks talk, and your beef's next. Sports Radio, 670. It's The Score.
Hey, Ari. How are you? What, we still got beef?
Nah, no beef, Josh.
Move them out!
We want to know what's bothering you in the world of sports. Give Murph a call at 312-644-6767. That's 312-644-6767. And tell him what's beefing you in the world of sports. What's Your Beef is brought to you by Brown's Chicken Sandwiches and Catering and BrownsChicken.com.
Murph till 2. In the 1 o'clock hour, we'll preview the Cubs game, talk about last night's Cubs victory, White Sox talk, and I have Jay Zawoski here to talk plenty of Blackhawks, our in-house Blackhawk expert, Jay Zawoski. So we're going to cover everything, but right now my friends at Browns want to say let's get some sports beefs going, and lunchtime beefs, Browns, you know what I've been telling you for 10 years, the best Italian beefs you've ever had, Italian sausage, put them together, call it a combo for lunchtime at Browns. It tastes better. Let's get over to Calumet City. Sydney is his name. Hello, Sydney.
Hey, Murph, how you doing?
Hey, good, Sydney. I got a full bank of calls, but my guys across the glass said, start with Sydney in Cal City. He's got a great beef.
All right. Well, my beef is coaches that don't know, that have lack of fundamentals themselves. How can they teach their team fundamentals if they don't know fundamentals?
That would be like the, trying to lead someone out of the forest when you didn't have a map yourself, right?
Yeah, the blind leading the blind.
Oh, Sydney, good beef. Hey, you know what? I want to send you over to visit my friends at Browns. It tastes better, all right, buddy?
All right, thank you.
Hey, good deal. Hang on. Hook up Sydney there on line 16. Would you guys? Send him on over to Browns. He'll probably get an Italian beef and Italian sausage. He'll say, hey, put it together. Call it a combo. Like the president of Browns, Frank Portillo, says. That's his favorite. Let's go to, hey, everyone's out today. Bill from Mount Greenwood. Hello, Bill.
Hey, what's up, Murph?
Hey, Bill, what's your beef?
My beef is with Major League Baseball teams that don't protect their batters in the lineup. Specifically, the Chicago White Sox, who were without 2 of their starters last night because they got hit by pitches. And the guy that was pitching for Kansas City last night, the first time he faced the Sox, he threw one. Actually, he hit Quentin the first time up to another ball behind him. Not last night, the first time they faced.
It was like target. It was like target practice.
Yeah, that's exactly what Joe Colley called it, Murph.
Really?
And
well, Joe's right.
The first inning, Cologne should have hit either Guillen or Tien with the first pitch. That way, if Greinke retaliates, he may get tossed.
Hey, Bill, I'm going to say something right now. Not only are you, caller to show, and I'm going to send you on over to Browns, but Jay Zawoski, we have this set for 1:30, a lot of Sox talk, but I want you to stay on the radio on your phone and listen to what we're going to play right now. Hang on. You're going to go to Browns, Bill, okay, buddy?
Thanks, partner.
All right. Hang on.
There's the limpo done by Alexi Ramirez in the right-handed batter's box. A shave, buzz the tower, whatever you want to call it. That one was right at his grill, and he just got out of the way, 2-0. Something's going to have to change here shortly in the outings in Texas for our starters and here in Kansas City. That was a purpose pitch right at his grill. Got to take control of the game. Not condoning hitting someone, but our guys are getting hit at a pace that's a little bit way above average, I'll say.
Great job, Ed Farmer, on the score. We have longer and more cuts of that. We'll get to a little bit in the 1 o'clock hour. Welcome back. It's Murph. What's that, Jay? We got to catch up on a few things. A ZZ Zag Zaban update. Everyone on hold. We'll get right back to you with a second round of phone calls. What's your beef? And remember, over at Brown's, the Primo Pasta Bowls, new, fresh to order. Buy your Italian beef, your Italian sausage, and then say, hey, I want that Primo Pasta Bowl. It's delicious. 3 of them, Southwestern-style macaroni and cheese. How about the delicious fire-roasted tomato pesto pasta? Or maybe your favorite would be the creamy Parmesan Alfredo with Italian sausage. It tastes better.
Want to talk to you?
Yeah. Got a beef?
Hey, you got some beef.
Second round of phone calls. What's your beef? Sports beefs. Phone lines are jammed. We'll get some Cubs talk rolling, lots of Sox talk, Blackhawks talk. But let's get back to the phone lines and find out what you're beefing about for my friends at Browns. It tastes better. And I just wanted to remind you, be a Browns Preferred Customer Club member. Just go to brownschicken.com, become a member of their Preferred Customer Club. You get all these special offers emailed to you at home. You get the coupons. You can print them right out. And some special offers only for you, members of Browns Preferred Customer Club. Let's go next to Rob from Harvard, Illinois. Hello, Rob.
Hey, Murph. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for phoning in. What's your beef, Rob?
Well, I've been sorry to hear there's not enough hockey coverage. The Chicago media hasn't really been covering it. I was hoping they'd put a period on the Bulls, and specifically I'm wondering about these Anaheim Ducks that we might end up having to play. And where did they come from? They beat up on Anaheim.
So you've already got the Blackhawks advancing past Vancouver. I like it, Rob.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking we are getting past them, and we're going to have to play the Red Wings or the Ducks, and that's quite a series going over there.
Rob, now let me just say this. As a Chicago fan all my life like you, I hate to put the, cart ahead of the horse, or I like to get my ducks in a row, my Anaheim Ducks in a row. I happen to have Jay Zawoski right here, the Scores hockey expert. Jay, say hi to Rob in Harvard, Illinois.
Hey, Rob. How's it going, man?
Hey, Jay.
What do you think, Jay? Should we worry more about Vancouver right now?
Yeah, let's worry about Vancouver first, and then we'll worry about whoever's next. I will say, however, if they can beat Vancouver, they match up well against the other two teams. So
I'm just wondering how the Ducks managed to beat up on San Jose, and now they seem to be holding their own with the Red Wings.
Goaltending and experience, my friend. That's all it is.
Rob, I appreciate it, buddy. See there, Jay Zawoski. Not only do we talk Blackhawks, we talk about the Ducks. Let's go to Elgin. Dan. I don't want Mitch Rosen phoning in on what's your beef. What the? Hello, Dan.
Hey, Murph. What's going on?
Dan, I'm fine. What's your beef?
My beef is with starting lineups in the major leagues.
Well, you've got my attention. Go ahead.
An example, today's starting lineup for the Cubs. What is Pinella thinking? We just won 4 games in a row.
Can I pull the reins in with you for a minute, Danny? Are you sitting down?
I am sitting down.
Do you have a nice hot cup of cocoa?
I do not.
Okay. Dan, one of the fellas in the hallway, the biggest Cub fan I know around here, Lynn Bramer from our sister station, WXRT, is in the hallway about an hour ago. Maybe you've heard of Lynn. He does a great job on our station across the hallway, right?
Yep.
Anyway, big Cub fan. And I said, hey, Lynn, come here. You got to see the lineup. And he looked at it. He goes, Gathright! Gathright! I said, Linny, sit down a minute. Number one, you got a day game after a night game. I said, number two, you're on game 12 of 20 games in a row, Dan and Elgin, without a day off, right? You're in the middle of 20 days without a day off. You know that because you're a big fan, right?
That is correct.
All right. You're facing Lincecum, one of the best righties in the game of baseball, right?
That is correct.
All right, now, and you know that if you try to win 162 games, you're going to burn your blanking team out by what, about July 15th?
Easily.
So, Dan, everybody wants to win every game. But for you to say, what's wrong with Pinella? They just won 4 in a row. You're not really thinking this through, are you?
Well, my beef is with Milton Bradley and Ramos Ramirez already having plenty of rest because neither one of them can play through a little injury.
All right. Hey, Danny, now you've changed topics. Now it's the injury-prone Bradley, and we don't have DeRosa to play. This is a DeRosa fan, right?
No, it is not.
Oh, I thought I smoked you out. In that case, I love you, and you're going to go visit my friends at Browns. All right, Dan?
Thank you.
It's never easy. Lynn Bramer always had a heart attack, Jay. He saw, get right! Get right! I said, Lenny, hold on, man. You're 12 games into 20 games in a row without a day off. You got a day game after a night game. You got one of the best right-handed pitchers in the game out there. Looks like the wind might be coming in off the lake a little bit. You're going to play a little small ball. Look at this. I say you got 8 left-handed or switch hitting guys out of 9. You got Gathright, Miles, Fukudome, Lee, Hoffpower, Fontenot, Scales, Hill, Maxwell. Marshall. Who the hell's Maxwell? Marshall! What do you want to do? You want to run the same 9 guys out there every day? Have Rebel Hundley out there catch 162 games till he needs suspenders to hold up his britches?
It was nice to see his blood pressure go down as you explained it to him.
He needed some cocoa.
His red face turned white.
Well, he was happy that he got the Browns. He's going to Browns. That's what made him happy. Are you kidding me? Who wouldn't be? Let's go to lunchtime beefs and Browns. Me, I like the Maxwell Street Polish at Browns. I put the grilled onions and the yellow mustard. You can't even find Maxwell Street anymore. They moved it. But Browns has Maxwell Street Polish. Let's go to, or Polishes if you want to. Hello, Elmhurst Matt.
Murph.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's your beef?
My beef is just with the thought that anybody might have to move the designated hitter to the NL. As much as I love baseball, if that was ever done, I would not be a fan anymore. I think out of all the sports, that is the biggest thing that's wrong with any sport.
Well, I love you, Matt. See, there's a couple problems here. Number one, young fans who are American League fans, and that's fine. You know, let's say a 25-year-old White Sox fan. They've never really, and this is fine, they've never experienced the pitcher batting. They don't understand it. And they have been brought up in the culture with the DH, and they'll never change. What scares me, Matt, is a guy like Phil Rogers, who's a veteran writer, who should have half his thinking cap on. Instead, he's got half his thinking cap off to fill some column inches today, in my opinion, with a theory that when you really break it down, holds no water.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate the call. Let's go. The wind-up and the pitch. I would just advise, before you start texting, Murph, you moron, mustachioed moron, I prefer. Murph, you moron, Murph, you idiot, which is probably correct. I would just suggest, all you DH lovers, that you pull up last night's 7 American League games and check out the 9th hitter for the 14 clubs last night. Remember, your DH replaces the pitcher in the 9 hole, no matter where you put him. And you might be surprised to see what you're getting in the 9 hole in the American League is garbage. Not much better than the pitcher. At least in the National League, you pinch hit for the pitcher and get his ass out of there by the 2nd time through if you're losing, or the 3rd time through if you're winning, and you're stuck with these 199 hitters batting 4 or 5 times. You look at the American League last night, 14 teams who batted 9th, and call me back and tell me the DH is a good idea. And then you need the designated runner. That would be next. Let's do that. Designated runner for the designated hitter. So when Jim Thome gets on base, he can send in a designated runner. Fred from Merrillville, Indiana. Hello, Fred.
Afternoon, Murph.
Hello there.
My beef is with the Chicago sports media.
Oh, I love it. Go ahead.
And the reason it is because they're always quick. If a guy doesn't hustle, if he doesn't run, if he stops to admire his shot that goes off the wall and ends up with a long single instead of a double, or he doesn't run out ground balls that could get booted or whatever, and chance to be safe at first base, they're all over people. Then some guy like Carlos Zambrano, who has the heart and the passion, and to play the game the way it should be played, balls out 150%, gets hurt, running out of bunch.
A bunch of hypocrites. Yeah, a bunch of hypocrites.
Congratulations. You've just been named the Browns Chicken Caller of the Show.
Fred, I love your angle. Can you go visit your friendly Browns for a big lunch dinner on Murph?
Oh, yeah, sure. Thank you, Murph.
Oh, hang on, Fred. I love it. Look up Fred over there in Maryville, would you please? Thank you very much. Jay, you did all those numbers today. Could you believe that? Could you believe what those number 9 hitters in the American League, what they did last night?
Yeah, not much better than the pitchers, that's for sure.
Here, let me do this. For anyone out there that wants to email me, text me, or call me and tell me how great the DH is, remember, you're replacing the number 9 hitter. You want to get the pitcher's ass out of the batting order in the American. We hate the pitcher. Oh, I go to the bathroom when the pitcher comes up. I hate it when the pitcher comes up. Those are the same people that say, when there's an intentional walk, why don't you just hold the 4 fingers up? Yeah, what's that going to save? It's going to save you about 30 seconds, and once a year, they throw a wild pitch, and it's the greatest thing when everybody's running around the bases because the moron threw a wild pitch on. Well, just put the 4 fingers up like in Little League. All right, Jay, you did it here. Here's the 9 batting average. I'm sorry, the 9th hole batting average yesterday for 14 American League teams. All right? Tell me if this is a lot more exciting than the pitcher, who would, by the way, be pinch hit for by the 6th inning. Here we go. Lillibridge, 167 of your White Sox. Olives, 216 for Kansas City. Punto, 211 last night for the Twins. Everett, shortstop for the Tigers, 273. He'll never hit that when the year's over. Francisco. Hey, Cisco. Hey, Pancho. Cleveland Indians. Francisco, the 9th hitter, who, by the way, was the DH. How's that working out? You got the DH batting in a 9-hole, 236. Same game. Toronto, the DH batting number 9. How's that working out? Hitting 219, a guy named Snyder. How about the Andy McPhail's Orioles? Is Tourist, 241. Tampa Bay, the home team. Navarro catching, 160. I'll just give you the rest of the numbers. 262. All right, Seattle does a Betancourt, 298. Boston, 283. That's not bad. Here, Yankees. The Yankees got Baroa, 234. The Angels, somebody named Mathis, 235. I thought he was a singer. And here you go, Oakland, a guy named Davis, hitting 200. How do you like your DH? No. Let's go to Carlos as a car phone. Hello, Carlos.
Hey, what's up, Murph?
Hey, yes.
I'm kind of shocked nobody's talked about this, especially yesterday or whatever.
Yeah.
But my beef is with the NBA scorekeepers who can't keep score for an NBA playoff game.
Oh, you're talking about the 3-point, 2-point, 3-point for Ben Gordon, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, it took like what, an hour and a half for them to get the score right. I mean, God forbid that in the fourth quarter the game was tied up or the game was actually decided by 1 point. I mean, what happens if the game ends and one team is eliminated and then all
Carlos,
of a sudden they say,
you couldn't be more correct. Carlos, am I correct? I watched that game. I had my little yellow pad. I'm writing the score down. And it was in the second quarter, I want to say, that Gordon hit the 3. And then I look up at the TV score, and they only gave him 2. Then later they say it was 3, then a 2. It wasn't until the second half that they finally officially announced it was a 3.
Yeah, I know.
What the hell are they doing?
I have no idea. I mean, it's a simple job, but I guess they can't do
Well,
it.
no, it wasn't the scorekeeper, guys. It was the referees had to review it. I believe it went all the way back like the NHL does for certain penalties or puck over the line for a clean goal. They must have sent that video. In other words, they had somebody, I'll bet you, the league office in New York reviewing that. So whoever was at blame, it was a mess, and you're going to go visit Browns. All right, Carlos? Good job.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right, buddy. Jay, we're late, but South Holland Keith will be my final beefer. He's been holding. Hello, Keith.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hey, it's Murph. What's your beef?
My beef real quick is with the NBA referees again. After watching the playoffs, I'm still not sure why certain fouls are fouls in the first.
They're guessing. They're flipping a coin.
Fouls in the fourth.
They don't know what time. They got to look at the clock now. And the home team, who's home? Are we home or are we on the road? Oh, is there less than 2 minutes to go? You know what? These guys, they might as well flip a coin. Guess what I said? They've been guessing all day, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's unbelievable. It's an embarrassment. They are the worst of all. It's weird. Appreciate your call, Jay Zawaski. We talked about this. The Major League Baseball umpires are the worst when it comes to getting it right. But at least they are consistently wrong, home and road. Right, first inning, ninth inning.
Yeah, consistently bad.
You know why? Because you mentioned. Remember, they're arrogant.
Ego. Yep.
See, they're the only ones that aren't intimidated by the Major League Baseball umpires. Hey, you gotta see CJack.com. My guys, Jack Phelan Chevrolet, home of the GM Total Confidence Package. 5 years, 100,000 miles, powertrain warranty with the OnStar vehicle value protection, payment protection up to 9 months. Check it all out. Where? Jack Phelan Chevrolet. You gotta see CJack.com. Want to thank everyone for beefing from my friends at Browns.
Thanks for participating in What's Your Beef. Join Murph for another edition of What's Your Beef. What's Your Beef has been brought to you by Brown's Chicken Sandwiches and Catering and BrownsChicken.com. All winners of the Mike Murphy Show are only eligible to win prizes once in a 60-day period. And now it's time for another Murph Moment.
All right. There's a book coming out. You've heard all about it. The author, Selena Roberts, she works for SI. She has a book coming out about A-Rod, right? Alex Rodriguez. Now, I can't believe that there's not been more discussion so far on this. There's a charge in the book of pitch tipping, where, in other words, A-Rod, when he's out in the field, is tipping off the hitter on the other team what pitch is coming. He then was expecting to receive the same courtesy when he would get up to the plate. They claim these are in blowout games. According to Newsday today, Neil Best writes the pitch tipping charge is the most interesting revelation, especially for fans whose eyes now glaze over at the mere mention of steroids, performance-enhancing drugs. All right. It has a ring of truth, this story, he says, the pitch tipping by A-Rod, with details in the book of how it worked. Details are in the book of how he tipped the pitches and direct knowledge from former teammates or current teammates who discussed this matter, with the author on condition of anonymity. So in this book, now, why isn't this a bigger story? See, this is to be fixing games or telling the opposition what pitch is coming. This is a Black Sox-sized scandal. And where Bud Selig, now he's really in trouble, Bud. If it can be verified, and if they call in these players to go on the record that A-Rod was telling the other team what pitch was coming, this makes steroids and human growth and all that a little spit in the ocean, a little fly in the elephant's ass. How about this? This could be bigger than the Black Sox scandal or Pete Rose gambling for, and I'm sure against his team.
This has been another Murph Moment.
There ain't no place just like it. Anywhere. 644-6767. We'll get to some Blackhawks talk in a few minutes. And White Sox fans, they got a big yellow pad full of Sox talk. But let's shoehorn in some Cubs talk right now. Yes, they've won 4 in a row.
Here it is. Fly ball sending Johnson out. Makes the catch. Cubs win. Reed Johnson with an excellent running grab out in left center. And the Cubs win 4-2.
Here's the new Cub fight song after the game. We ain't done nothing yet. Keep it rolling. Go Cubs, go. This hour of the score brought to you by Menard, 644-6767. All right, Cub fans, I wonder, will we look back in September and say, hey, you know what turned the season around? No, what was that? Ryan Terrio's grand slam on Saturday, May 2nd. That's what broke that losing streak. They were ready to lose their second game. They were trailing the Florida Marlins, second game of a 4-game series. Terrio with the grand slam. He now has 3 homers in 4 days. I want to ask Cub fans, 644-6767. Now you got Fontenot and you got Terrio, and they both are not the players that anyone thought they would be. I want to ask, if you're a big baseball fan, do you think Michael Hoffpauir could be the next Fontenot, the next Terrio? Earlier today on The Score, Jim Hendry commented on, Ryan Terrio with the guys. But how about this cut that Jay Zawoski put together from the Cub game last night on WCIU, 1 in a Million, Hendry visiting with Bob Brenly and along with Len Casper, right when Terrio hits his 3rd home run in 4 days. Listen closely. Jim Hendry basically says, I can't believe it either.
Ryan Terrio drives that ball deep and gone.
Oh, boy. How about that?
He's got to crack a smile at some point here around the bases.
Wow.
That's his 3rd one on the homestand.
Unbelievable. The boys will be hearing about that in the locker room.
He has really been driving the ball here lately.
It's probably not fair to say this about the riot at this point, but it wasn't that long ago that Jim Fry told Ryan Sandberg, you should be hitting for a little more power.
Oh, yeah.
Go up there and try to drive the ball.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Ryan's really, he's playing great, and he used the whole ballpark, but it's something to see here the last 3 days, I'll tell you. I'll tell you that. He's a great story in itself. It wasn't an easy battle for him to get to the big leagues, and overcame a lot of adversity, and those guys from LSU, they know how to play when they got out of there with Skip Bertman. They same with now with the LSU kids that play for Paul Maneri. But these guys know how to play, and this guy knew how to tough it out to get here and grind his way in there. And nobody gave him a chance to be our starting shortstop here 2 or 3 years ago.
Right there, stop the tape. Thank you, Jay Zawoski. Nobody gave him a chance 2 or 3 years ago. And we've done topics on this before. The stereotyping of certain ball. A guy like Greg Maddux who looks so young. He looked like the bat boy. I'm sure most of the guys didn't give him a chance. Talking baseball insiders, experts, scouts, even Lillibridge with the White Sox. Sure, he's not an all-star. I understand that. He's hitting $169 or whatever. But he looks 25 years old. I'm sure he had a rough go of it trying to make it to the big leagues. I'm sure in every sport you get pigeonholed, you get stereotyped, and you know what? You get buried is the word. And what I have to wonder is, every time you look at Hoffpauir, all he does is hit the ball hard. 644-6767. Do you think that Hoffpauir was pigeonholed incorrectly, or is he indeed, that's why you're in the minors, that's why you don't make it? Well, hey, look at Fontenot, look at Terrio. They proved the system wrong. And tip it hat to Jim Hendry. He said right there, no one thought he could make it. Let's go to Homewood. Nick is on The Score. Hello, Nick.
Hey, Murph, love the show. How are you, buddy?
Good, Nick. Now, I know that everyone's talking about this lineup today, which I'll give again in a minute here, for the Cubs. In fact, if anyone's just jumping in the car, it's Gathright, Miles, Fukudomi, Derek Lee, Hoffpauir, Fontenot, Bobby Scales at second, Coy Hill catching, and the pitcher Marshall. And some of the Cub fans are going, what the hell is Lou doing? And the others are going, that's a good idea. Rest some of these guys. Which side are you on, Nick?
Hey, I got a problem with Lou resting his regulars, but he didn't give me a phone call today because I got tickets to the game.
So you're feeling shortchanged, right?
You got that right.
All right, Nick, let me ask you this. Would you be happier at the end of the game in the ninth inning if the Cubs lost the game with Soriano playing and Ramirez playing and Terrio playing and Soto playing and Bradley playing if they lost? Or will you be happier if you can say, go Cubs, go, with the W?
I'm always happy to hear one of my favorite songs, so any way they can get a win.
Thank you very much. At least Nick is honest. Are they still playing that Go Cubs Go song, Jay? I understand that, what's his name over there? Peter Chase, the PR man?
Yeah, Peter Chase.
Is he? I guess because we hear the soundbite. Every time you play the end of the game, I hear the soundbite here. That must be right off TV, huh?
Yep.
The Blues Magoos from 1967. We ain't got nothing yet.
That's right.
Joakim Noah said that after Game 6. We ain't got nothing. We have done nothing yet. Let's go to Chris, as a Cub fan, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Hello, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
Fine. Welcome to Chicago.
Chicago, but I listen to the score on the radio every day.
All right. What do you have for me today?
Well, listen, I'm calling because I'm kind of upset the fact that it's starting all the bench players against San Francisco's Cy Young Award winner from last year. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, we got a 4-game winning streak. Wait to start the bench players, the fourth and fifth pitcher of the opposing team, not against the number one pitcher.
Well, I could turn it around. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, Chris. That's the beauty of baseball. But I could turn it around on you and say, well, here's an idea. Against their fourth or fifth pitcher, put all the studs in there, put your all-star lineup in there, and guarantee that victory. Maybe, maybe you win this game today, then you're really feeling good about yourself.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I feel you start your best players against the other team's best pitcher. This guy won the Cy Young Award last year, and plus the Cubs are very good against fastball hitters. Soriano, Ramirez, Lee, they love fastball hitters.
Well, Lincecum is more than fastball. Lincecum's got an entire repertoire. But you know what? Don't sell short Sean Marshall pitching for the Cubs today. You know what? He's been terrific his last few outings.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. One last thing, Sobrano. Sobrano was an injury waiting to happen. I mean, I cringe every time he swings the bat and every time he runs the bases because, I believe in doing things hard, but he's a pitcher. He's not trained to do those things. He's trained to pitch.
Well, let me not disagree with you, Chris, but let me roll this past you. Do you have another 30 seconds? Can you hang? You still there?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I can.
All right. Sunday was the injury to Zambrano, correct? Sunday.
Yep.
All right. Now, Sunday, the Houston Astros lost right-handed relief pitcher Doug Brickale to a hamstring injury also. Guess how he got it?
Okay.
Fielding his position going after a bunted ball, all right? Now, hold on. Sunday also, so this was all three like a hat trick. Zambrano on the hammy, running it out. Okay. Doug Brickale, Houston, out on the DL, hamstring, chasing a batted ball. Tom Flash Gordon, Sunday, the trifecta, Arizona Diamondbacks, 15-day DL, left hamstring, fielding his position. The pitchers, they're all brittle out there. Huh? I love it. Chris, thanks for being a good sport. Call again.
I appreciate it. All right, thanks.
All right, Vuk is on. Vuk's a good sport. Jeff Vukovich. For all your insurance needs, he's in Park Ridge. He's Murph's nationwide insurance agent of the year. You know that. You want stability in your insurance, man? 30 years, same location, solid as a rock. Vuk! Jeff Vukovich in Park Ridge. Listen, we got some Blackhawk talk coming up. Jay Zawaski, we got White Sox talk, but Wooddale Rich has been holding here. Hello, Rich.
Hey, Murph, how you doing?
Fine, thanks. Rich, what do you have for me?
I just want to say, I think Lou knows what he's doing here, resting up some players. Soriano, he's played all 25 games this year already. And then he knows that we're going up against Ted Lincecum today, who's been filthy the last couple of starts. Well, he knows we're not going to probably get a whole lot of hits anyway. Go ahead and put in the new guys or the bench players, see what they can do against them.
Now, you've loaded up the lineup with left-handed and switch hitters, only Derek Lee from the right side. You got a bunch of guys that make contact. Maybe Gathright, maybe he hits the ball on the ground and gets a couple hits today. Maybe not. Miles in the 2-hole, a switch hitter. He's fast. He might get a couple base hits. Fukudome in the 3-hole. Big Micah Hoffpower, the lefty in the 5-hole. Fontenot in the 6-hole lefty. Scales, the switch-hitting 31-year-old utility man, up for a few days till Friday for the roster. And then Hill. You got switch hitters, Miles, Scales, Hill. You got lefties, Gathright, Fukudome, Hoffpower, Fontenot, Marshall, if you want to count him. Maybe they win the game, and then what happens, huh?
Everybody says Lou looks good.
Rich Wooddale, I like your angle. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody. May 5. Hey, you know what? I bet the joint's jumping at our good friends La Hacienda, La Magdalena. I bet things are popping today. Say, hola, hola, Senor Joy Fernandez. Happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody. All right, how about some Blackhawks talk and some White Sox talk next? Sports Radio 670 is the score. Blackhawk goal. First of the playoffs. Who doesn't have a goal yet in the playoffs there? Let's see. Eager. First of the playoffs, number 55, Ben Eager. Assist, Dustin Bufflin. Patrick Kane. Go Hawks! I happen to have Jay Zawoski with me right here. Does a lot of the great post-game after the after the Blackhawk games. Jay's usually right here with you. Jay, game 3. Winning that second game in Vancouver, that was like bigger than big, wasn't it?
Oh, that was huge. That was humongous. Biggest game in it, probably biggest win in a decade for the Hawks.
Right. And each one following will
be
that.
bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
But it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as they keep advancing in uncharted territory. Blackhawks fans, if you want to jump in real quick, 644-6767. Would you, as a Blackhawks fan, have any suggestions, Coach Q, tonight? I mean, the guy's been on fire, Jay. Every line change he makes, every matchup. You know, the average fan, and you know, I consider myself just that, it's hard to really get a grasp on, you know, the different lines, first line, your second line, your third line, matching up with the opposition, and maybe mixing and matching over the course of a game. This was Eddie Olczyk and Pat Foley back during the Calgary series talking about, and then, Jay, I want you to sort of refresh me on the different lines, who might be with whom tonight, big game 3 at the United Center.
Talk about matchups a lot. The visiting team has to put their players on the ice first. So Joe Quenneville comes with his fourth line, and then he came with Hjalmarsson and Campbell. Jerome McGinley's still sitting on the bench. To me, there's that opportunity to get McGinley on the ice against the fourth line, against, you know, the pair that Joe Quenneville doesn't want. But it's just those little things that go on in the game. I mean, advantageous. That's what I would have done.
Now, highlights are Comcast Sportsnet. All right, now, Jay, pretty much Taves, Kane on the first line with usually what, Sharp?
Yeah, Patrick Sharp.
Okay, so first line, and these can be mixed and matched depending on the flow of the game or penalties or injuries, but basically Taves in the middle, and then your two wingers are Kane and Sharp. Is Kane more the right winger?
Yeah, Kane's usually on the right and Sharp on the left.
And that's based on which, if they shoot lefty or righty, or not always.
Sometimes, not necessarily.
But in a perfect world, you'd like to have the guy on the left wing who's got his right hand up at the top of his stick and the left hand down.
Correct.
And on the right wing, you like to have the guy who's got the left hand up at the top of the stick and the right hand down.
Right, to protect the puck better.
Okay.
Right.
Now, second line, is Versteger coming up or Havlet's coming up?
That's Havlat on the right wing with Dave Boland at center and Andrew Ladd on left wing.
Andrew Ladd.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the fastest skater on the Hawks, would you say?
That's a tough one. I got to go with probably Patrick Sharp on that one. He's probably got the fastest straight ahead speed in a race,
like stopwatch or NHL skills.
Yeah, Patrick Sharp probably. Adam Burrish is pretty quick too.
Really?
Yeah.
So he's got some muscle and he's fast.
Right, and as far as defensemen go, Brian Campbell for sure.
Campbell for sure, right. Yeah. All right, so the front line or first line, left to right, would be Sharp, Taves, Kaner.
Right.
Your second line, normally would be Ladd, then Boland and Havlet.
Right.
Left to right. All right, now the third line. Who would be in the center usually, center man?
That'd be Sammy Paulson would center that line with Christopher Stieg on the right and Dustin Bufflin on the left.
Steiger on the right. Oh. Now, Bufflin, here's the story.
Yep.
And that's what all the papers are talking about, how Buff, who has was he not originally a defenseman when he said
he was? He was drafted
as
a defenseman, and they moved him to forward last season.
Now, he's often the biggest guy on the ice. Was he 6'2", and he's lost some weight, but he's still like the heavyweight out there, right?
Oh, yeah, he's a big boy. He looks like a linebacker out there.
Now, what he likes to do, Bufflin, when the Hawks have the puck, he likes to stand right in front of Luongo. What's this big, goofy goalie's name?
Roberto Luongo.
Luongo.
Yep.
So he's been standing right in front of him, I read today, Lenny Ziem and some of the columns. Not only does he stand in front of the Vancouver, the big goalie, but he's talking to him now. Did you read that today? He's trash-talking him during the game.
Yeah, and it's working. I think he's pretty much the reason I think they won the last game. He got into Luongo's head a little bit and made him vulnerable and human, I guess is the way to put it.
So he's the left winger, but he likes to get right in front of the net. And Sammy Paulson, 26, would be in the center, Iceman, and then you've got Steiger Versteeg on the right side.
Right.
Now, does the fourth line always play in rotation? Does it go 1 line, 2 line, 3 line, 4 line, or do they sometimes skip a fourth line, or is it pretty much?
Well, the fourth line will typically get the least amount of ice time.
Yeah.
But Quenneville's been mixing the lines a little bit.
Don't confuse me.
No, it's pretty simple, though. He's been keeping the fourth line intact, but
give me
now
the fourth,
and then the fourth line to start the game typically is Ben Eager on left wing,
all right,
Adam Burish in the center, and Troy Brouwer on right wing.
All right.
Now, during the game, he's been putting Kane and Havlat on that right wing a little bit just to make the line a little more dangerous.
Huh.
And it's kind of worked. And those flip-flops work, but the standard fourth line would be Eager, Burish, and Brouwer.
From left to right.
Right.
So there's your 12 men on your main 4 front lines.
Right.
Now, you got your back line, you got your defensemen. There's are there basically 2 back lines or 3 back lines?
There's 3.
Okay.
3 back lines.
All right, so who's your starting back defenseman?
The top 2, unquestionably, are Seabrook and Keith. They're always together when they can be, and they do a great job.
Now, they're both also faster than the normal defenseman, or are they
I would say
average speed?
Keith is faster. Seabrook has average speed, but he's got so many other tools that it makes him.
Siebes.
Siebes,
Yeah,
all right.
Let's go with the nicknames here.
All right.
So Siebes and
Dunks.
And Dunks
yeah.
are your number 1 defense line.
Right.
Then when does Campbell get in here? And,
Campbell is, it's
and
hard.
Almerson.
That's I think you could call it 2A and 2B, I guess you would call those last 2 defensive pairings. Barker and Walker are typically the second pair.
Okay.
And then Campbell with Jarmelson is the third pairing. I guess you would determine that by who is harder to score against. 1, 2, 3.
Have you been assigned tonight to do some radio? After
Yeah,
I'm
going to be on right after the Sox post game.
All right.
The Hawks and Sox play at the same time, so I'll be on right after that taking your calls.
Beautiful. Little hard hawk hockey. Thank you, Jay Zawoski. It's Murph. Sox fans, going to light it up for you. When we return, I'll tell you who, according to the newspapers, if you read between the line, who will be the 2 White Sox on the 25-man roster, perhaps soon to be bye-bye and gone. And, center field, got a little rotation out there. And the backup third baseman. Did you notice what Ozzie did yesterday? Sox fans, 644-6767. Back in a flash. Sports Radio 670. Murph, driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. Hey, Zach, I had the fans all fired up about the, should there or shouldn't there be a designated hitter. It's a fun topic. It can go on forever. There's no right or wrong answer. But did you hear this one caller? Do you have 10 seconds, and I'll let you get
absolutely
okay.
For you.
There was a great call. There was a great caller today, as we always have, to Mully and Hanley.
Yes.
And I believe caller Scott, which you'll hear now, had tongue-in-cheek, being a little sarcastic. Or maybe he was legit, but he had a great idea. He said, you know what, everyone's arguing about, should there be the DH or in the National League, should the pitcher hit? Listen to what Scott Mully and Hanley came up with.
Scott's in his car. Hey, Scott.
Hey, guys. I'm torn in between both of them. I like it. I dislike it. But here's a simple way to get rid of it all. Just bat 8 players. Don't even count the pitcher spot when it comes to the batting order.
That's interesting. I didn't think of that.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, why are these guys getting paid millions and millions of dollars to be able to hit the ball?
You decrease scoring. You get everybody more at bats.
More plate appearances for the guys who actually want to see bat. I like
that are
it.
actually sitting there playing the game on both sides, learning how to field and hit. Now, instead of guys are just out there to hit and can't even catch a ball or throw a ball, screw them. Get rid of them.
All right, stop the tape. Now, Zach Zaidman, I'm not 100% sure if Scott was serious or sarcastic, but it was beautiful because it distilled down the whole topic. All right? We'll have a little quid pro quo, like a little trade here. In other words, National League, all right, you don't want the pitcher hitting you fans, all right, but the trade is the American League, you got to dump the DH. So we'll just go 8 deep in the lineup, and then the leadoff hitter's up again. There's no DH, and there's no pitcher batting in the National, and everybody's happy.
Would be a faster game, wouldn't it?
Well, it'd still be 3 outs an inning, I guess. So I don't know if that would speed up the game, but you would get to bat more often, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying. So you could technically speed it up. I don't know. All I know is this.
I love it.
All I know is this. The Cubs have an advantage.
Oh.
You want the pitcher hitting for the Cubs.
Well, because their hitters are better than the other National League hitters.
Exactly.
A for the course. See, this guy Zach knows what he's talking about. Thank you, Zach. Let's talk a little White Sox. This Out of the Score brought to you by Menards. 644-6767, the White Room, the Black Curtains near the 35th Street L-Stop station. All right, Sox fans, 644-6767. I want to ask you, Kenny Williams, do you feel he was prepared for some of the injuries that will occur in the course of a baseball season. They often pile up on you. I mean, it's amazing how the baseball gods work. 2-3 guys all of a sudden, doesn't matter if you're a Cub fan, Sox fan, Brewers, Cardinals, things will be going along just beautifully. Then boom, boom, twice in one game, a hit by pitch, this guy pulls a muscle. Now, the Sox was it Joe Colley that said target practice, it seemed. The last few games, you get Jermaine Dye takes one in the hand. You got Josh Fields takes one in the hand. I remember all winter on the north side, and it was a legitimate question. Jim Hendry, who is your backup man if Aramis Ramirez goes down? Who's your backup third baseman? Well, those were D-Rose fans, which is Mark DeRosa fans, But that's fine. And, well, you don't really have a major third baseman ready to roll out there. If Ramirez goes down, you mix and match with Fontenot or Miles or whatever. So, you see, it's impossible often for any GM that you can't have 8 guys on the bench ready for your 8 guys, if they go down. So, Kenny Williams, no one said, hey, who's your backup man at third base in case Josh Fields goes down? Oh, wait, they did. Wilson Betterman. So, did you notice who Ozzie Guillen played last night at third base with Josh Fields unable with the hand, hit by pitch, unable to answer the bell? Huh? See, he was at third base last night, didn't you? Jason Nix. That already, if you will, nixed Wilson Betterman at third base. And if you read between the lines today, here is from the Tribune, Mark Gonzalez says, with the wrist injury to Josh Fields and the White Sox reluctance to use Wilson Betterman, Jason Nix may find himself with more playing time at third base. I'll tell you one thing. When a reporter or a writer phrases something this way, they're trying to tell you out loud that they have inside scoop that a guy like Betterman is on his way out. For Mark Gonzalez, and this is just my speculation, but the inference to me is quite clear with the left wrist injury to Josh Fields and the White Sox reluctance to use Wilson Betterman, Nix may find himself playing some third base. So, Kenny Williams, you can't just have another third baseman sitting on the bench ready to go. Very few teams have that luxury at every position. Now, the Sox had 3 center fielders ready to rock and roll back in spring training, right? You had Jerry Owens, you had Dwayne Wise, you had Brian Anderson. Some fans said, I don't like it. That's not strong enough. Other fans said, are you kidding me? Brian Anderson, I love him. Dwayne Wise, Jerry Owens. Well, what happens? All of a sudden, you go from 3-0 because of some weird circumstances. One, you lose Dwayne Wise diving for the ball, made that great catch, separated his shoulder. He's out. You got Brian Anderson, tweaks the rib cage out, and you flat out release Jerry Owens because he couldn't play dead. Now, all of a sudden, you find that there's no team out there that has a backup at every position. So could Kenny have done more to be prepared? Let's go to Tom's on the south side of Chicago. Hello, Tom.
How you doing there, Murph? First time to call you.
Hey, well, I appreciate it. Tom, it's not easy being a GM. You only got so much dough and 25 slots, right?
Well, yeah, but you got to understand, losing 3 outfielders and Owens, well, he never won the job anyways.
He was released.
Okay, and then about Betterman, well, he played first base most of the time, even when Josh Field was playing. So, and with Nix playing third, and he showed that he could play it last night.
Right.
Well, you got keeping him and getting rid of Betterman. Well, if he could play third, well, you got a lot of guys who could play first, even though
well,
you can play first, but you could put Nix at first. I wouldn't doubt if he could play first.
You could play third. I could play third, Tommy. It doesn't mean we'd be any good.
No, I agree, but
right?
Nix just seems to be a better. When he was batting, he just seemed to be better.
Well, I like Nix. He's a spark plug. He's going to make some contact.
You look at Anderson, and when he hurt his rib, he hurt it batting in the number 1 position. Otherwise, he was batting near the bottom. So you got to think that maybe he was trying too hard that day.
Well, he tweaked it he later said in the paper. Yeah, he heard it a little in the first or second at bat.
That's what he said.
And then he really yanked it, the next at bat. And you were exactly, no, I haven't. You know what? He was batting. It was April 29th. He was in the 8th hole.
Is that when he tweaked it?
Yeah, he played the day before leadoff, but the day he tweaked it and then yanked it and was taken out of the game was in the 8th hole. But anyway, that's still interesting the way you would point out maybe he was trying harder in a different position, but he was 8th hole that day. But the point is, you don't just shake a tree and have enough guys on every bench in the big leagues to cover every. But you can't do it, can you?
No.
Good. Tommy, thank you for calling. Phone again. You'll be a second-time caller, buddy. Appreciate it. Let's go to Rolling Meadows. John wants to talk a little White Sox. Hey, John.
Hey, Murph, what's up?
Hey, buddy.
You could, if Ozzie really wanted to, with Fields, being down after being hit by that pitch, which I find ludicrous that two of your top hitters get hit in the same hand, within 2 days.
Yeah.
You could always use Betterman at first base if that's where he feels most comfortable. Konerko came up as a third baseman, so you could, you could get him ready by practicing him a couple of days at third base, letting him know that, we're down. We don't really have anybody that can play third. It's you have played it. You could put Lillibridge there at third base if need be. He's a utility infielder. He should be able to play it.
The problem is Lillibridge had to play center field last night because of the 3 center fielders being out.
Yeah, well, you got a problem there. But
yeah.
Normally, you could play Nix there. You could play Lillibridge. Yeah. You could, you could, like I said, Konerko came up as a third baseman.
John, I'm going to nix your Konerko idea, only because a veteran like Paulie, at that stage of his career, even if it's desperate times, you're probably not going to do that. But
no.
But that's okay.
You could use Nix, or you could.
Nix. What was interesting? Now, what was interesting? Did you see in the paper? John, I'm going to blast off. I got a few more calls. Phone again, okay, buddy?
Thank you.
I appreciate it. In the paper today, this was interesting. Jason Nix, who yesterday was at Jay Zawoski. We were just talking about Carney Lansford. You pull that up.
Yeah, said he was the best defensive second baseman he's ever seen, right?
In his entire baseball career, over 40 years. Now, in the paper today, it said they worked out Nix before the game, hit him 40 ground balls, or was it 40 minutes of ground balls? Quite a difference. Here, after fielding a Tribune 40 ground balls without any problem, 5 hours prior to Monday's game, the Sox became sold on Nix at third base. Turns out that Nix hasn't played third base in the minors or the majors ever for more than about a total of 7 or 8 innings. So he's at third base. The point is, you never have backups everywhere, and injuries can kill any team. It was just 10 days ago that Todd Hollandsworth was freaking out. He said, it was 7 days ago, Todd Hollandsworth said he's alarmed over the Cubs. Remember that? And today, everything was fine. So you know what? Get a few of these guys back. Get Fields back. Jermaine Dye back. Everything will be fine. Sports Radio 670. It's Murph. It's The Score, driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. Murph on the home stretch. A couple Sox fans had called earlier. Well, you know what? They're throwing the ball. They're hitting us. Joe Colley used the phrase taking target practice. Well, last night they buzzed X-Ram. Greinke buzzed into Alexi Ramirez. And you know what? Ed Farmer, I'll say this, he doesn't like to take it.
There's the limbo done by Alexi Ramirez in the right-handed batter's box. A shave, buzz the tower, whatever you want to call it. That one was right at his grill, and he just got out of the way, 2-0. Something's going to have to change here shortly in the outings in Texas for our starters and here in Kansas City. That was a purpose pitch right at his grill. Got to take control of the game. Not condoning hitting someone, but our guys are getting hit at a pace that's a little bit way above average, I'll say. Not a little bit, way above average.
Greinke threw that exactly where he wanted to.
2-0 pitch to Ramirez, a curve, so he buzzes the tower and then gets a curve over, 2-1.
That's good pitching. You should be an advocate of it, and I think
I'm not
it's
saying
very
it's
smart.
Not. That's very good for him. Now, when the Royals come up, someone's going down. Here's the 2-1 from Greinke to Ramirez. Curve buckled him, and it hangs. He catches the inside corner, 2-2.
Yeah, Zach Greinke has never been afraid to go ahead and throw a fastball where he knew a hitter would have to get out of the way of it and then use the other side of the plate.
The 2-2 Greinke pitch. He struck him out.
That was abuse of a hitter right there.
Yes, it was. So after Greinke threw it at his head, they came back to strike him out on 3 straight curveballs.
Farmio on the score last night. Something's going to happen. Yeah, keep an eye. Maybe there'll be a little chin music under the Royals' little chinny chin chin tonight. Murph saying thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. See you later, everybody.